Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It is your Cape Crusader, Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our brand new friend, Paul Gomez. We're here to break down Booshie Circus, Mysteries Issues 1, 2, and some other exciting issues that were kind of created before, I think before, right?
Yes.
Before, and everything in between. Everyone, welcome to the stream. Ichthus over on YouTube, stopping in to say, what is up? Welcome, man. How are you doing? But most importantly, Paul, how are you? Welcome to the stream, dude.
Doing great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here and love the show.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, as always, I like to get a nice feel for who we're talking to. So, you know, we were doing some chatting backstage, but now that we are live and in front of the camera, let's go ahead and break down who you are and how you got into comics. Because you recently just started like a year ago, right?
Yeah, definitely less than a year ago. I mean, when everything kind of went crazy in the world, me and my kids were kind of trapped in the house. I had gotten let go from my job, so I had a lot more time on my hands, and they were out of school. We kind of sat around, had a little think tank going because I wanted to get them motivated and doing something other than just playing games. And we started writing stories every day for 15 minutes here and there, and it kind of added up to like an hour every day. And it kind of progressed. I had introduced my twins, which are 14 now, into comics. And at one point we were like, hey, let's do this story into a comic. And it just kind of trained off from there.
That is so cool. So it's created with help from your family?
Booshie Circus Mysteries definitely is a brainchild of me and my children.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah, we had went into this room and started putting down stories. We had about 10 or 12 different ones. And this was the one that really stuck out on us, and it was the one that we decided to make into a comic first.
No, that is so that's so cool, because that's like a legacy that's gonna like live on for you guys forever, right? Like that's something like 5 years from now, like you could read to the grandchildren, be like, that's gonna be so awesome. That is cool. So, but before we get into that, let's talk about the other two, like the first comics that got you into creating comics.
Well, Booshie was really the first story that kind of got into it. It had a little bit of trouble along the way. I had a few interior artists that dropped out. So whenever that was happening, I decided to double down. And I had this idea that came over me one day on a Memorial Day that I was talking to my editor that was editing Booshie. And we were talking about the military and how it impacted our family and our family members who were in it. And like I said, me and my kids were stuck in the house, and it had a lot of problems at that time, and mental illness was kind of an issue, and I wanted to bring it up in a unique way that other people could talk about it and feel not alone as well. So PTSD kind of came from there, and that was my first book that I released.
Is that like the standard acronym, or does it have like any other different meaning for it?
Well, no, that's basically what it is. It follows one person throughout one tragic day, but it goes back into his memories that led up to that day.
Okay.
And like I said, it really talks about the mental illness and how he was avoiding dealing with it, and his fateful day that happened that one day.
Yeah, that seems like a deep one for you to start off with. How was that for you writing that out?
It was very neat because I started writing another story in between. It was called Flame, and it was a very unique aspect where it was following the aspect of a fire, from a match to a stove to a fireplace to a candle. And it was dealing really with the family and their problems with dealing with the issues, like mental illness and suicide and whatnot. Well, with PTSD, this story came to me, and it was so impactful that I decided to run with that one, and it's just been it just took a life of its own.
So what about the next one though? Because there was two that you said before Booshie.
Well, actually, Cryptic Haze kind of came after the first issue of Booshie. It was a friend of mine was dealing with a divorce, and I took that story to heart because I had just went through a divorce, and I wanted to write a different story. I was trying to figure out as a writer how to broaden my range, if you will. PTSD was a one-shot. Booshie, whenever I first started, we decided it was going to be 12 issues. So I wanted to create a 3-issue series, which was Cryptic Haze. And I wanted to do it in the form of entertainment that I found most fascinating, which was kind of a thriller-based story. So Cryptic Haze is kind of a thrill ride, and I tell people it's a homage to Batman's The Killing Joke.
Okay.
Where it's that one day that could push you over the edge, but what would happen if, and you're kind of led to twists and turns through that story.
You know, I always liked that concept. It reminds me of Fallen Down.
Exactly.
So Fallen Down, that was a movie I grew up on. Like as a kid, I know that's probably like a horrible movie to grow up on as a kid, but like things were different when we were kids, right? Like,
Right.
And I always like that concept of getting pushed to the edge and the brink, and how far you'll hold on to what you hold and treasure true before you snap.
Yeah, and one of the other stories that I kind of wanted to meld with it was the monkey's paw. If you ever remember that old story where there's those 3 wishes that you wish for, but they kind of come across a little bit different. So I wanted to mix those 2 kind of concepts and come up with something a little bit different, because obviously if you're making a comic, you do want to sell it as different than what you've ever heard before.
Mm-hmm.
And again, being a brand new writer, I definitely wanted to show my range. So that's where that concept kind of came.
So I mean, I think you're really making a mark though. 4 projects in 1 year. Did you find like yourself hitting any walls or like any stages of burnout, or has it just been coming to you naturally?
Well, I think the biggest hurdle really is financial, because each one of these issues does cost a bit, because I'm not the artist, and I think the art is probably the main thing. Other than that, you know, I've actually written about 6 more stories, and
wow.
My next project, if I actually get to it, is I want to say one of the closest things to a comic book that's a little bit more different than I've done before, because it was based on an idea of my artist from PTSD and Cryptic Age, which is the same artist, and I asked him what he loved, and whenever I started writing that story, it was like a whole new life on its own.
So is that the same artist for Booshie Boo as well?
No, one of the things that I learned, because I kind of had a mentor at first, and he started teaching me about art style, because originally I was a little bit unknowledgeable whenever it came to it. You know, I thought it was just one person who drew and colored it all, and you know, that one artist could do just about any kind of style. So I didn't know any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He started teaching me, well, there's the penciler who's got different types of styles, and he kind of showed me how they look and how it could be ruined by an inker who again has different kinds of styles, and then the colorist. So whenever we were doing PTSD, this artist was really amazing, and I kept him on for Cryptic Haze. The artist for Booshie Boo Circus, we felt that the story needed something a little bit different, a little more pop in the color.
Mm-hmm.
And where PTSD was a darker kind of Twilight Zone-esque kind of story, Booshie Boo Circus was those bright circus colors, so we went with a different art style. Yeah.
So I mean, that is such an interesting name. What inspired the Booshie Boo part of it?
Well, thank you. Actually, my youngest son. So we were in this room, me and my other kids, and I was married at the time, so I had 6 kids with the kids she brought in. We had our youngest, who was 4, and he would run around the room playing and joking around with us and go Booshie Booshie boom and kind of run into people. So when this story kind of took life and we were going to do a circus, we kind of thought of Scooby-Doo, and we were trying to think of a name that kind of went along with Scooby-Doo Mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was walking around doing his Booshie Booshie boom, we thought of a character that could be shot out of a cannonball with that phrase as his catchphrase.
That's so
and
cool.
We mixed that with Scooby-Doo Mysteries and came up with Booshie Boo Circus Mystery.
That is so cool. So what is this all about? Can you give us a breakdown of like issue 1, like kind of what happened,
Sure.
and what, I guess, the general concept of it?
Well, I tell people it's a little bit more of a mature Scooby-Doo meets Criminal Minds, and basically it's going to follow the 3 apprentices, the main characters, which is Zahara, who's a young tiger trainer. Then we got 2 brothers, Lance, who's going to be the ringmaster for the first time in that first issue, and he's dealing with the stress and having to delegate authority, and that's one of the stories I really wanted to hit on, because delegating authority, you don't really hear that story that often.
Mm-hmm.
And then his younger brother is Luke, and I call him my Luke Skywalker. He's doing the books and stuff, and he's got a fate that really is going to be legendary, but he just doesn't know where or what it is yet. So right now he's trying to find his place in the world.
Okay.
So with his older brother being the ringmaster, kind of being with the spotlight and all, he's kind of overshadowed. It follows these three apprentices, and it follows them growing up because they're about 20 something, and all the mysteries that kind of come upon. So the first issue, I really wanted to show people that it was going to show a mystery and give you the suspects, because it's a two-part story with the second issue as well. And in this first story, it's going to bring the suspects in, and I wanted to make sure that you knew you were going to read the suspects before you ever got to that closing ending. I was a big fan of Perry Mason, and if you ever saw that, they would always bring the person who did it in the final seconds, and I was always like, well, I could have never thought that. They never showed me this person.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, I wanted to make sure to show you a plethora of suspects and make sure that there was good reason that you could know who it is. So that first issue definitely brings up a mystery and gives you those suspects to try to figure out who it is.
I like that. So how did you incorporate like everything that your children came up with you into one script? Like, how did that look like?
Well, it's kind of a funny story because, again, I didn't exactly know what I was doing. I was being mentored by a person, and he told me one of the first things was you need a page count. You know, before you start writing your script, get a page count so you can know how to fill that story in. And well, I didn't know how much a page would cost or how many or how less, so I just Googled it. And it said from 22 to about 32 was about one single issue. So I picked the highest number just because I wanted to challenge myself writing. So this was a 32-page issue, and I was like, I'm going to fit half of the story in this one and half in the next one. And I'm really wanting to focus on introducing these characters in this, but also building that story up, because I want you to be suspenseful at the very ending to kind of lead into the bigger reveals in that next issue.
No, I like that a lot. I love how it's getting layered, and it seems like it's a lot more intricate as well compared to the other projects that you were working on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the main things is whenever me and my kids started writing it out or talking about it, it was like we hit so many different ideas that came out. Well, we could do stuff with clown, we could do stuff with jugglers, and I was like, let's do 12 issues to kind of be able to throw a whole bunch of stuff in. Ooh. So before I started writing it, I was like, well, I want to do arcs. And I really didn't know nothing about stories and writing and any of this stuff. Story beats, panel flows, all this stuff I really learned all along the way. But one of the things I really knew from watching TV and other books that I read was story arcs. So I wanted an arc that came from issue 1 to issue 12. But again, I wanted like about 4 or 5 more that were in the middle, obviously. And issue 1 and 2 are going to be a complete story right there. So that had to be a big arc in itself. So having to incorporate all this was definitely a unique learning experience. And then my other project was a one-shot, just to prove to myself that I could have one story in one issue kind of thing.
No, I love it. The whole trial by fire as well, you know, like just learning as you go and just like full sending it. Like, you know, you're going to get this made one way or another. And like at the end of the day, you're going to have a comic. And, I take a lot of that with what I'm doing too. You know, when I first started this, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just doing what I wanted to do. And it was just like pretty much interview after interview. I built off of each other, you know, until I got right here. And, you know, there was a lot of, you know, steps along the way that, you know, maybe I should have planned out better. Maybe I should have gone this way, but you know, we're here, you know, we made it, right?
I mean, who knows, if I had known better, Booshie Boo Circus Mysteries might have been 22 pages instead of 32. Well, the first one's 33 because we had to add a page, but the rest are going to be 32 pages. And it was one of those things that is like, it might have been a positive in disguise kind of. And you kind of learn along the way.
So are you planning them to be 32 because that first one was 32, or is it just...
Well, there's several factors. Starting off with that first one being 32, I was like, this is kind of harder to do. But what I found after doing PTSD for 22 pages I enjoyed that freedom of having those extra pages to give and tell a little bit more of a story. The price point whenever I go out there and sell it is about a dollar difference, and I feel I can give more back to my customers if I have that, especially if I'm telling a 12 issue story completely. I feel I can put little Easter eggs here and there, especially with issue 1. Whenever I started making the characters, like the two brothers Lance and Luke, they have the parents that are trapeze artists, and I named them Richard and Barbara, or Barbie, if you will, after Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon from Batman.
That's
so
awesome.
I was like, I wanted to throw some extra stuff in there, and having those extra pages allowed me to do that.
Man, the Nightwing run has been phenomenal too. The current one, Tom Taylor. Oh my God, it's so good. But
I love Nightwing.
You know, let's speaking of trapeze. I can't even word today.
Trapeze.
Trapeze. Let's swing right into issue 2 and check it out on the Kickstarter.
Awesome.
All right, we are looking at Booshie Boo Circus Mysteries issue 1 and 2, 32-page second issue in the exciting series of Circus Fun and Mysteries. Currently sitting at $747 of $1,000. 25 backers with 13 days to go. How are you feeling right now, Paul? I mean, you are roughly about a little over the halfway mark, and you're about 75% complete, with the funded goal. So, I mean, pretty confident that you're gonna hit that goal. I would at least assume, right?
I definitely hope so. I feel like I got just a few hundred to reach. I definitely feel like it can make it.
So what are you doing in terms of like promoting and getting the word out there? You know, what are some of the things that you see and that you feel are working the best for you?
Mainly going on shows, talking to people. I'm going to a comic convention this week out in Abilene, Texas. Whenever I hit conventions, talking to the customers. I also do signings at my local comic book stores whenever I get a chance.
Okay.
I'm in about 25 comic book stores out of the 28 in the DFW area. So it's really kind of a little bit of everything. I did have a little bit smoother transition with my last campaigns than this one. But again, I feel confident that it'll reach that mark that I'm looking for.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and check out this video, and then we'll check out the rest of the Kickstarter.
Awesome.
Yeah, the colors, the interiors are gorgeous. Well, was that one of your children?
Yes, that's my youngest right there.
Adorable picture. Adorable.
Yeah, my 14-year-old usually wears that whenever we go to a comic convention, that outfit. And my youngest one kind of stole it and was joking around with it, so I snapped a picture one day.
So right here is the story of Booshie Boo Circus Mysteries issue number 2. The new book is the second part of a huge introduction story. Combined with the first issue is a 63-page of mystery story, the 3 apprentices seeking answers to a horrific murder that happened in the middle of circus performance. Join Zahara, Lance, and Luke as they question the suspects in an eager attempt to find out who is behind the fateful night. Will the truth be revealed? You'll have to read to find out. And here is a look at some of the interiors, and yeah, these are gorgeous. I really like a lot of like these, like the art behind the panels, like right here, like with the wheelchair and like the sky, and then you have the 2 panels right there. Like, this is gorgeous.
Thank you.
And then a look at some of the covers as well. And then I think those are listed down below with the images a little bit larger. So right here are the tiers, and all these tiers are going to go hand in hand with the tiers on the side, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we're looking at the digital PDF standard edition of the book for $3. And I really like these images too. I like how you did the little circus tickets. Like, this is so cool. You get a digital PDF standard edition of the book for $6.
The $6 one is going to be issue 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. Yep. And then for $8, a digital PDF standard edition of the book. And this is going to get you the other two projects that you worked on as well. So how many issues of comic are we looking at right here?
Right there on that $8 tier, that's going to be 4 issues of comic books. The PTSD and Cryptic Haze are 22 pages each, and both Booshie Boo Circus are 32 plus pages.
Oh yeah, that is a healthy amount of reading. So for $8, we have the Lauren Gibson variant cover, or is this the standard?
This is the A cover, the standard cover. Yes.
Okay. The Booshie Boo issue number 2, cover A, for $8. For $10, we have the Gabriel Magnum, which is the cover B. And yeah, this is gorgeous. I really like the monkey in the background. Does he serve a pretty big part within the comic?
I wouldn't say a big part, but he's definitely in there. I believe you saw it in the interior pages. It kind of shows him a little bit going wild. Mm-hmm. And I kind of enjoyed the fact of being able to incorporate animals and other characters into it. Like I said, you know, you have that variety, so it just gives you that extra depth.
Yeah. And we have the Lisa Constantino Miller cover, cover C for $10.
And it's a pixelated kind of cover. And whenever I approached her, I was dedicating one cover to each of my 6 kids. And this is for my youngest kid, and he kind of loved that pixelation.
That is so you know, that is so cool. Like the fact that they're each dedicated to each kid, like that's awesome. That's cool. So we have the Michael Hinson cover D for $10. So who is this?
Michael Hinson. Oh, this is his version of Zahara.
Okay.
Michael Hinson was definitely an impact in my comic career. He kind of helped me along the way to see the difference between just making it a regular project to a store shelf project. And I was honored to have him because he actually has his own comic line as well.
No, that is really cool. We have Ezra Lander over on YouTube stopping in to say that is a neat idea for the covers. Absolutely. Here is the link for anyone that wants to check it out with us. If you're unable to back, be sure just to retweet it out, share it on Facebook, Twitter. Word of mouth is 100% free, and you might have a friend who would love this comic. There's a lot of cool concepts within it. I love like the adult take on like Scooby-Doo. I think that's such a cool concept. So we have the Gabriel Roldan and Brian as Kira. Did I contact? Okay.
About as well as I can. These are actually the gentlemen that are doing the interiors. And now this isn't trade dress just yet, but that's the only thing that's missing from this cover. They are at the actual interiors, and they do the heavy work and all that beautiful interior work. And this cover that they did is amazing. Yep,
and this is the cover E. I like how the cover A was $8 and then just $2 more for the variants. So yeah. I liked how you kept the prices really affordable. The Jay Gonzalez cover F for $10 as well.
Yes, and what I was aiming for was kind of Bo Jackson. If you remember him back in the day, he did this famous line or campaign for Nike where he was holding a baseball bat over his football pads. People call this my Magic Mike cover, and kind of fits both ways, I guess. Mm-hmm.
So right here we have the William Russell and Lauren Gibson Booshie Boo Circus 1 and 2 combo. So this will get you the physical copies of issue 1 and 2 for $12.
Yep.
And then for $20 we have the Lauren Gibson foil cover A. I'm a sucker for foil covers. I always think they're like the coolest thing.
They're beautiful, aren't they? And shine down on them, especially with those colors that kick it out. Yeah.
And then we have the Gabriel Magnum foil cover B for $20 as well. And then you're also getting included the digital PDFs with these, and then your name in the thank you section as well. So $26, the Kickstarter exclusive 80-pager issue 1 and 2, which includes a mini story. That sounds awesome. So is the mini story going to be like is tie it together like with issue 1 and 2, or like what sort of importance is it going to have?
Well, actually, the mini story is a separate story altogether. It's called Cherry Blossom. It was a story that I got asked to do to be put in an anthology, a romantic story. And as a brand new writer, I was trying to expand my horizon. It didn't get picked up for that anthology, but we had the art and we had the story, so we thought we'd throw it in there with the exclusive.
So at $35, we're going to get foil covers A and B, the Lauren Gibson and Gabriel Magnum covers. Foil covers of the William Russell and Lauren Gibson, so Booshie Boo Circus 1 and 2 for $35. And then for $45, you can get all 6 covers. So I think that's a really awesome price because you were looking at Was it 20 for 5 of them, like at a pop?
It would have been $58 if you bought them individually.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
here
yeah.
it is $45 just for all.
Yeah, that is an awesome price. That's awesome. So Booshie Boo Circus Mysteries issue 1, 2, all covers, so 12 total covers for $85. That is awesome. And here's a list of all the creators that were involved with issue 1 and issue 2 all together.
And it's some beautiful art, especially Ariel Diaz on that first cover, and DJ Hall. He did a homage to Star Wars. Some great covers in there.
Oh, that's awesome. And then the basic retail special. So Booshie Boo Circus issue 2, 10 copies for $65. And then the double retailer special. So you get 20 copies of the book for $120. So I think, yeah, dude, these are awesome. Do you get a lot of retail hitting up these tiers?
You know, I've only got about two of 3 of them that kind of hit on the last campaigns. I did get one right here for this campaign already, so I definitely wanted to offer it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, being part of 25 of the 28 local comic book shops, I definitely wanted to kind of cater to them and, you know, help them out as well as try to get in there and talk to those customers and show them what I got.
So we have the Booshie Boo Circus Mystery Retail Special issue 1 and 2 combo for $65. You'll get 3 copies of cover A and 2 copies of cover B for issue 1, and then 3 copies of cover A and 2 copies of cover B for issue 2. And then the retail special for issue 1 and 2, which is 20 total copies of 1 and 2. And then right here, I thought this was a really cool one too. So a half-page ad placed inside the book for $90. And then the full page one. So I really like this too. Did you guys design this other page too? Because this one it gave me such an awesome retro like vibe.
Yeah, my letterer, as a matter of fact, he's available to help design it for an added cost. But he designed my letterer is also my designer, and he basically helps on all my Kickstarter pages, and he does a great job.
Yeah, dude. When I was going over this earlier, I thought this was so cool, and I got here, I was like, wow, that is really cool. It's like an ad within an ad. It's like Adception. And then for $600, you get a meet and greet. So what's all included within this meet and greet?
So for $600, hey, it's a meet and greet with me. I will actually go to your hometown or whatever hometown you're in at the moment. We'll meet at a public place, and I will bring a copy of every book that I have. That's not just every book, but every cover that I have. So with Booshie Boo, it's all 12 covers. With PTSD, it's 3 covers. And with Cryptic Haze, it was 4 covers. I'll personally sign those in front of you. We'll be able to sit down and talk about the stories. Or if you're a creator yourself and you're kind of curious at how to get into it, I'll tell you and give you some tips of how I managed the field, how I got into it, and help you out in other ways.
No, that is awesome. That is awesome. I love anything like that too, where you can get, you know, not only like the comics and stuff, but like a real big bang for your buck. You know, sometimes those face-to-face, you can really learn a piece of information that you take with you that lasts forever, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Here is a shout out to the creative team as well. Do you want to go ahead and shout out your creative team?
Sure. There's Brian Zahara. He's part of the Pencils and Inks. Gabriel Rowland is the fabulous colorist. McLean McGuire is the letterer and designer that I was speaking of, and he does so much more for the campaign that I could even tell. Then you got Chuck Panay, who's the editor, amazing editor. He makes my words shine, if you would. You got Laura Gibson. You got Gabriel Magnum, both on my A and B covers, which is hit it out of the park. You have Lisa Miller, who did that fabulous pixel art cover. Michael Henson is that beautiful design of Zahara. Then there are 2 people that are left out, which are the Gabriel Rowland, the Brian Azura cover. That's left off of that mentioned right there. But also it's that Gonzalez cover of that black and white of Lance.
And then risk and challenge, you can't predict global like pandemics or paper shortages. Outside of that, you know.
Yeah, outside of that, I mean, basically the project is close to being finished. We're on page 27 at the moment. So all we need is about 6 more pages, and we're done with the pages. It really is about getting it to print, and that's what we're going to be using the fund for. I do ship in Gemini packages just to make sure that the product is safe and secure when it gets to you. like I said, I am a brand new comic creator, and I have 3 projects that I've done before. 2 of them are at 100% fulfillment. One of them's at 98% or 95%, I think. There's one tier that I'm currently had a little bit of logistic problems, but I'm still getting it out there.
I got you. So going over that Kickstarter, what would you like to say to anyone that's on the fence about backing? You know, anyone that's kind of teetering, like they're right there, but they don't want to just go ahead and push back. Like, what would you say to them directly to help them like get over that?
I definitely understand it, the skepticism, especially with Kickstarter. Like I said, I do have 3 campaigns that are basically fully fulfilled. On top of that, and I think the most thing that I tell everybody else is, I am a comic book fan myself. I don't really consider myself a comic book creator, because what I'm doing is making sure that everything is worth every penny of your money. I never really had that much money to buy every comic book that I wanted. So whenever I started writing, whenever I started, learning how to do it, I wanted to make sure that it was worth every penny. Cover designs, story layouts, page flows, story hits. I made sure to do my study and research in every part of that project, and I guarantee you that you're going to enjoy this comic. That's awesome. I love the depths you went to too. It really hits differently when you yourself love the medium that you're working in. Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things that I was a big fan of, and I never thought I could get into it. Like I said, me and my kids kind of made a household project, and we were going to just do it ourselves until I really went and met this artist one day, and he kind of told me that it wasn't that far off that I needed to go from where I was at. Mm-hmm. And it was from that point that I started learning and went out there and looked for the toughest editor that I could. And he started teaching me all the ropes to the establishing shots, panel flows.
That's awesome.
Learning the intricacies. And I wanted to make sure, like I said, that it was worth every penny.
No, that is awesome. So before we wrap things up completely, go ahead and give a shout out. Like you yourself, you're involved on a podcast. So give us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, getting into comics, I decided to jump into a podcast with the Comic Crusaders. They invited me in to co-host every week. I co-host Thundercats and Think Indie on Comic Crusaders channel. And other than that, I'm also part of Charter Comics, which carry my books, kind of show them around as well.
No, that is so cool. So where can everyone find you? Like what social media platforms?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Paul Gomez 790. And like I said, you can find mine and a bunch of other creators at chartercomics.com.
All right, absolutely. And before we finish, I always like finishing strong. And with this being said, I think I got a nice question to end things on. So for anyone that's watching for the first time, and let's say they're struggling getting their book into a comic, as someone who's gotten their book into a lot of comics, what has been a successful tactic or a way to approach it that has worked for you?
The best thing to do is do your homework. Make sure you're going out there and doing studies. As far as getting into comic stores and conventions, it's kind of do your due diligence. I had to go to one store about 5 times before they picked it up, and as long as you are talking to them, understanding their needs, you can get into just about most comic book stores. And other than that, if I could do it, I mean, everyone can. I'm simply a father of kids that are just trying to get by and enjoy it with them.
No, absolutely. That is awesome. Paul, I appreciate you coming on here, breaking down Booshie Boo, breaking down everything in between, and giving us that nice piece of wisdom. I really appreciate that, because I think there is a lot of people out there that's struggling, that want to get their book into a comic store but don't know how to. And I wanted to really ask that question because, as someone who's gotten their book into there, you know what you're doing, right? You've gotten something that's working. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Once again, everyone, be sure to check out the Kickstarter. Right here is the link. If you can't afford to back, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter. Word of mouth is 100% free, and you might have someone who's going to love this book. That being said, we are going to be wrapping things up. I hope you have an awesome night. Paul, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us. Everyone, have an awesome time, but most importantly, keep it geekly.